She used to reply instantly. Her words came with warmth. Her eyes carried a spark. Her presence gave you energy. Now, silence. The silence of unanswered texts. The silence of delayed replies. The silence of cold distance. And it burns. It cuts deeper than words ever could. Because silence is never empty. Silence is full of meaning. When she ignores you, she isn't just quiet. She's testing you. She's measuring your strength. She's weighing your worth. Most men collapse under this silence. They panic. They double text. They call. They beg. They become slaves to her attention. And in that desperate scramble, they lose the very thing she craves. Respect. But you will not make that mistake. Not anymore. Because today, you will learn the Stoic path. The path of kings. The path of warriors. The path of men who do not crumble under silence, but rise above it. This is how she will never ignore you again. Chapter 1. The Stoic Frame. The first lesson is this. When a woman ignores you, it is not rejection. It is reflection. It reflects who you are. It reflects the frame you hold. It reflects whether you are a king or a beggar. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Her silence is an outside event. Her delay, her coldness, her withdrawal. Outside events, you cannot control them, but your response, your reaction, your frame, that is entirely yours. And here lies the difference between men who are forgotten and men who are unforgettable. The forgotten man chases. The unforgettable man stands still. The forgotten man loses his frame. The unforgettable man deepens it. Because attraction is not built by chasing her. It's built by standing tall when she pulls away. And here's the truth. The man who needs her most loses her first. The man who needs her least keeps her longest. Chapter 2. Why women ignore men. If you are ignored, understand this. There is always a reason. Sometimes it's a test. Sometimes it's genuine busyness. Sometimes it's loss of interest. But in all cases, the answer is the same. Do nothing. Because chasing only confirms her suspicion. Her suspicion that you are desperate, that you are dependent, that you are ordinary. When she ignores you, she expects weakness. She expects panic. She expects you to collapse. But when you do the opposite, when you become calm, composed, detached, that silence transforms. Her silence no longer feels like power. It begins to feel like loss. She wonders, why isn't he chasing me? Why doesn't he care? Why isn't he like all the others? That doubt, that curiosity, is the seed of renewed attraction. Never forget, a man who chases loses value. A man who pauses gains value. Chapter 3. The Power of Detachment. Detachment is the weapon of the Stoic. It is not indifference. It is not coldness. It is mastery. To detach is to feel fully without being ruled by the feeling. She ignores you. Fine. You acknowledge it. You allow it. But you do not bend to it. Because the Stoic man knows this. Attention is not oxygen. Approval is not survival. Validation is not life. You already have life. You already have purpose. You already have direction. She is not the mission. You are. The less you need her, the more she needs you. This is the paradox of power, and only those who master detachment will ever experience it. Chapter 4. The Warrior's Test. Picture a warrior on the battlefield. Arrows rain down. Swords clash. Enemies scream. But he stands still. He does not flinch. He does not tremble. Why? Because the warrior knows that panic kills faster than blades. Fear kills faster than arrows. Desperation kills faster than enemies. Her silence is the battlefield, and your panic is the death of attraction. But your stillness, your composure, your calmness, that is your victory. When she ignores you, you must become the warrior. Silent, unshaken, immovable. And in that silence, she feels your strength more than she ever did in words. Chapter 5. Respect and space. Respect cannot be demanded. It cannot be begged for. It cannot be forced. Respect is earned through restraint. When you stop chasing, you create something rare, space. And in that space, attraction grows. Because in that space, she begins to think. She begins to wonder. She begins to miss. She begins to respect. Respect grows in silence. Attraction grows in distance. This is why men who smother lose women, and men who detach gain them. Chapter 6. The silence that speaks louder. Words can be twisted. Excuses can be fabricated. Promises can be broken. But silence cannot lie. When you remain silent, you give her the gift of truth. Because silence reveals. It reveals who values you and who doesn't. It reveals who respects you and who plays with you. And most importantly, silence reveals strength. Every man can shout. Every man can beg. Every man can explain. But only a rare man can stay silent when everything inside him wants to speak. This is what separates boys from men. And this is what makes her attention return. She begins to hear your silence louder than your words. She begins to feel your absence stronger than your presence. She begins to miss you, not because of what you said, but because of what you refused to say. This is the silence of kings. Chapter 7. The Art of Not Caring. Let me tell you something that will disturb you, but it will also set you free. She doesn't always want your love. She doesn't always want your loyalty. She doesn't always want your effort. What she truly wants is your strength. And strength looks like this. Not caring when she ignores you. Not collapsing when she withdraws. Not losing yourself when she tests you. The art of not caring is not about hating her. It's about loving yourself more than her approval. Because when you don't care about the game, you win the game. When you don't beg for her attention, you earn her respect. When you don't fear her leaving, she fears losing you. That is the paradox. That is the secret. That is the art of not caring. Chapter 8. Her test is your training. Understand this. Every silence is a test. Every delay is a test. Every withdrawal is a test. And tests are not punishments. They are opportunities. Opportunities to prove who you are. Opportunities to sharpen your discipline. Opportunities to master your emotions. When she ignores you, don't see it as rejection. See it as training. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Her silence is the impediment. Your stillness is the way. When you pass this test, you become unshakable. You rise above ordinary men. You evolve. And she will feel that evolution. She may never admit it, but deep down, she will know it. Chapter 9. Why chasing destroys attraction. Attraction is like fire. It needs oxygen to burn. Chasing smothers the fire. It suffocates it. It kills it. The moment you start chasing, you strip away mystery. You strip away respect. You strip away power, because chasing says, "I need you more than myself. I will bend for you. I will break for you." And nothing kills attraction faster than weakness. But when you stop chasing, when you give her space, when you allow her silence to linger, the fire breathes again. The curiosity returns. The respect awakens. Remember, a man who chases loses. A man who pauses wins. Chapter 10. The man who walks away. There is nothing more powerful than a man who can walk away. Because most men cannot. They stay. They beg. They cling. They sacrifice their dignity for attention. But the man who walks away is untouchable. He does not fear loss. He does not fear silence. He does not fear distance, because he knows he is the prize. And here's the truth. The moment you are willing to walk away, you become magnetic. Because women feel it. They sense it. They know when a man does not fear their absence. And that fearlessness is irresistible. She will never ignore you again if she knows you are capable of walking away. Chapter 11. Mastery of emotions. A man who controls his emotions controls his world. But a man who loses control loses everything. When she ignores you, your emotions rise. You feel anger. You feel sadness. You feel panic. That is natural. But what you do with those emotions, that is the difference. The weak man reacts. The strong man restrains. Because mastery is not about not feeling. It's about not being ruled by the feeling. When you master your emotions, she cannot manipulate you. She cannot test you. She cannot break you. And in that strength, you create an aura that is undeniable. An aura that speaks louder than words. An aura that says, "I am unshakable." Chapter 12. The power of presence. When a man is truly present, he becomes unforgettable. Not because of what he says, not because of what he does, but because of what he radiates. Presence is not about chasing attention. It's about commanding it without trying. You build presence by being grounded, by standing tall, by speaking less, by moving with intention. Most men talk too much. They explain too much. They give away their power with endless words. But the Stoic man, he knows presence is silent. It's heavy. It's unshakable. When you master presence, she cannot ignore you because you linger in her mind, even when you're not there. Chapter 13. When she feels your absence, here's the truth most men never realize. A woman doesn't always remember what you gave her, but she always remembers how she felt when you were gone. When she ignores you, don't collapse. Don't chase. Don't panic. Instead, step back. Step back into your purpose. Step back into your mission. Step back into your discipline. When she feels your absence, she starts to notice. She notices the silence in her phone. She notices the space in her mind. She notices the weight of your detachment. And slowly, her curiosity returns. Her attraction reignites. Her respect rebuilds. Because nothing is louder than the man who disappears into his greatness. Chapter 14. The Stoic strategy of control. Control is everything, but not control over her. Control over yourself. The Stoics taught this for centuries. You cannot control her actions. You cannot control her silence. You cannot control her attention, but you can control your reaction. That is where power lives. When she ignores you and you stay calm, you have control. When she pulls away and you don't chase, you have control. When she tests you and you don't flinch, you have control. Control is magnetic because control is rare. Most men explode. Most men bech. Most men collapse. But the Stoic man, he stands firm. He does not beg. He does not chase. He does not fold. And because of that, he wins. Chapter 15. The final lesson. If you remember only one thing, let it be this. The man who masters himself can never be ignored. Because women don't ignore power. They don't ignore presence. They don't ignore strength. They ignore weakness. They ignore desperation. They ignore men who forget their value. So master yourself. Master your silence. Master your emotions. Master your presence. When you do this, you don't just win her attention. You win something greater. You win your dignity. You win your discipline. You win your life. She will never ignore you again. Because the man you've become is unforgettable. Brother, if this message hit you deep, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Pass it on. Leave a comment below and tell me, what's the hardest part for you right now? Silence, patience, or walking away? Subscribe to Stoic Mindset. Because this is just the beginning. We are building men who are unshakable, men who do not chase, men who do not fold, men who rise above. This is your path. This is your discipline. This is your power. Remember, discipline is your weapon. Stoicism is your strategy. And you are the warrior.